Good morning. My name is Stephanie, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the CA Plex CA2E Global User Community Webcast. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question-and-answer session. If you'd like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press the pound key. Thank you. Now I'd like to turn the conference to Rory Hewitt. Please go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is Rory Hewitt, and I'll be giving our presentation today. Just have to stop for a second. Mary, I am trying to click over to the roadmap presentation, and it doesn't want to do it.
Okay. Can I help that? See if that's...
Thank you. I will be a discussion today about the strategy for the CA2 product family and the roadmap for the next releases. So what we'll discuss today, I'll first of all just hand off briefly to Christoph Heinrich, one of your two user group presidents, who will discuss about the user group activities and also about the upcoming conference that we'll be having in November in Landia, New York, America, where this will be a Plex and 2E conference. Then I'll talk about the 2E product family itself, briefly discussing the recent releases that we've had and the functionality in them, the current release 8.7, which is in development, and then actually future beyond that, and talking about how you can become members of the customer community, the partner community, if you're not already, and that can benefit you. With that, let me hand over to Christoph, who can talk to you about the user group and about the upcoming conference.
And hello, everyone. So before Rory goes into the details of the 2E roadmap, I'd like to give you a short update on the upcoming 2E and Plex Worldwide Conference. It's going to be held in New York in November 12th, from November 12th to the 14th. We announced this a few weeks ago, and I have some more news I'd like to share with you. So the location, I think, is absolutely great. It's going to be a great location. It's easy to get to, so we expect great attendance for the conference. And after a conference will be very similar to what we have in Chicago a couple of years ago. So we'll have 3 tracks, we'll have workshops, pre-print training, lots of how-tos and updates and roadmaps on CA products and also partner products. There will be customer cases, success stories. I think there will be great content. We'll focus more on the Plex side will be mobile solutions and medical. And on the 2E side, there will be more likely will be training on 8.6 features. There will be news on the development on 8.7 of the 2E. So it'll be very interesting content there too. As always, the conference will be a great opportunity to get together with users, experts, with the folks from CA, catch up with old friends. We're in the process of organizing the event. We'll organize the lunches. There will be opening reception, open conference dinner and events. We're actually looking into having an event in downtown New York. I think that will be very exciting. The conference fees, so we'll manage to keep them as low as the last conference with $250 for early bird registration. $350 will be regular, and then the last minute $400 registration for the whole event. The hotel will have hotel rooms reserved for you with good rates again. There's an area right next to the CA headquarters and other hotels very close too. What we'll do next, we're going to call out for speakers and also sponsors. We all have some sponsors on board. Thanks very much to NIT and ARAD Computing who already signed up, and of course Obsidian and CM First will be sponsoring the event again. Speakers, if you have a topic you'd like to hear, please contact me or Anne-Marie. Speaking at this conference is always a great opportunity. It's a contribution to the community. It's sharing your knowledge, but it's also a great opportunity for you to present yourself, present your company, present your technical solutions to a very interested audience. So a great opportunity to speak at the conference. And if you get accepted as a speaker, we will waive the conference fee for you too. So, and to speak at the conference. So you can sign up a conference on the conference website, plex2e.com. Thanks to us for setting up the website again. We'll post news on the website constantly. We'll also send you information by email through the forum. You can visit us on Facebook. Go to the conference website regularly. You'll find all the news there. If you have any questions, you can always also contact me or Anne-Marie directly. We'll be very happy to answer any questions you have. So stay tuned on more updates for this conference. I'm very excited for this conference. I think it's going to be great. Also to mention, we have more webcasts coming up in the next few months. One of the webcasts we're planning is on the TUI web option. We'll announce the date for that webcast very soon. So that's my update from the group. I'm handing it back to you, Rory.
And just brief from my point of view as you know, TUI development team, the presentations that have come across best in some of the previous conferences have been from users like yourselves. People can get to hear myself or Sonja Kane or one of the other developers at TUI giving presentations, but people don't really want to hear us that much. They also want to hear you talking about particular successes you may have had with, or implementation of TUI or of option or interesting things you've done. That's what we want to hear. So even if you think that what you've been doing is quite obvious, there and submit it as a piece to speak on, and we'd love to see lots of those get accepted. Moving on, so we're going to talk now about the strategy overall within CA as it relates to the TUI family and the roadmaps, so what we're doing for next release coming up and potentially in the future. So briefly talking about the family. In the past we tend to talk about TUI and the other bits of it, but we like the product family. It's the core product, you're obviously all had, and the toolkit, which as you know it's the 1E, it's of 2E, but also it's available separately. Many people have it on your production boxes. The web option tool, which originally was brought out back in 2000 or 2001, and has been steadily growing with more and more customers making use of it to web enable their existing TUI applications. Change management is the TUI CM product that it's the implemented product by what's now called PTC, used to be called S. And the translator, which is one of the products which was developed in-house by some of the TUI pre-sales people many years ago, and is used to translate your applications for multiple languages. So within CA, we have our own strategy of what we're planning to do, not so much the specifics, but what we're planning to do for you, our customers. Look up there in the top right corner, the investment protection. A huge part of TUI, as you all know, and as you're all EMI customers, is the backwards compatibility, the stability, the knowledge that if you have TUI, it's going to keep working. It's not like some products where new releases break backwards compatibility. Everything's predictable and very stable. From moving down, we are before saying the new features that we want to put into any new release are going to come from the customer base, from you. So if you've been to the CA community, then the idea wall there where you can submit ideas for new functionality that you want to have in releases. And I'll say right now, we'll discuss it more, but within release 8.7, the release that's in development now, a lot of the new features in that are specifically from customers posting on the idea wall on the CA Communities forum and saying, we think should be done, and then other users have voted on them and said, yes, this is a great idea. And we'll discuss some of those in more detail. Down here in the bottom left, we're looking at extending the reach of TUI, so it's not just thought of as being a green screen tool. That is obviously still the core of it. But we have the web option product to web enable your TUI application. And then within the last 8.5 and 8.6 releases, and we're continuing this with 8.7, extending things like our web services information, so that if you are connecting between IBMI and other services and other platforms, for instance, you do certainly a good portion of that with your TUI functions, your TUI applications, so you can make use of your TUI knowledge to do this. Then also, as we'll see, we're looking more at how we can use XML with TUI, TUI and the toolkit itself, and that's a big part of our strategy moving forward. And finally, we're looking at the agile development, and I'll talk about this later, but with agile development Scrum methodology, whereby in each release we're doing a 4-week cycle, and customers who want to get involved in the agile system can get involved at the very, very early stage in looking at every new feature or sub-feature as it gets created, and giving their input, giving their feedback, and doing regular updates as the new features are added. We did 8.6, and it improved the quality of the product significantly in terms of very, very few customer bugs found, and as you'll see, this impact on the way that we do things like betas or not. Briefly, recent releases. Back in August 2009, we brought out release 8.5. It was a very good release. It had a lot of new functionality in it. The initial service program design generation, the ability to create service programs itself, for one from our ILE integration back in release 8.1. We brought out web services, the first phase of our web service creation and deployment, impact analysis enhancements, and for those of you who do have the web option, we brought out web option environments to provide a splitting out user data and system data. A number of smaller model navigation fixes went into that, increasing the size of subfiles, being able to move around the model more easily, sort of moving between different screens and areas. A number of fixes in that, more than 60 fixes. Quite a while later, in April 2012, so April last year, we brought out 8.6. We had a single big marquee feature, this enhanced array support, where you can now pass result sets as parameters effectively, so you can pass thousands of records back and forth in one parameter. This really has benefits for those of you who are using things like web services, which often you'll pass back result sets, but also in general, being able to call a single program and get every matching record is a huge benefit. And with that, we brought out both a built-in function and a new context. And from my point of view as the architect of the software development team, new built-in functions is a whole big bit of work. And this is something that affected lots of things within the model itself. We did smaller fixes. We changed the splash screen to enable you to implement your own commands or display current fixes. Brought up the check fund par command. I am seeing customers who've had TUI for many years. We have very, very big models, and quite a lot for those customers and for us, for our support teams, is looking at how these big older models are hitting things like size limits, just operating size limits. we made a lot of sort of fixes there to improve performance for those things, and to try and look at model integrity, and that's part of what that Ychuk funpar command was. We continue our implement support for LD libraries. While we support the number of end languages that we always have, we just to the LDO systems so that the actual end user libraries are themselves much smaller and much simpler to update. And then for those of you with web option, we produced a number of major performance improvements, allowing potentially thousands of concurrent users to access web option with the same level of performance that you would expect with the old hundreds. We simplified a lot of integration. We improved the integration with the 2E model, and within that, actually between 8.5 and 8.6, we released a service pack which included a number of fixes. So at the bottom, there are 120 plus fixes that we brought out in 8.6. Some of them came out in the 8.5 service pack 1, and the rest came out with 8.6 GA. And I don't have the exact numbers to hand now, but most of our customers now are on release 8.5 or 8.6. I'd say larger percentages on 8.5, and then 8.6 now has taken a steady uptake since it came out last year. So what are we doing now? Well, right now we are in the process of developing the next release, 8.7, and we're looking roughly for it coming out quarter of next calendar year, so early 2014. It's a number of features in it. We've pretty much tied them down. This is a sample of some of them. We're looking to improve our web service support. The WSDL descriptions that get generated by the system, by OS 400, are not particularly useful, and so we're actually improving on built-in system functionality to provide a better end-user experience in terms of naming, in terms of what's generated out of the 2E model. We're making a lot of enhancements for SQL. Obviously, IM now is pushing customers, not just 2 customers, but all EMI customers, look at using an SQL database rather than a DDS database. And we're doing our bit there by providing a number of SQL enhancements. Some very new ones that we've come up with recently. Some have been out there for a while and have been kind of a low priority. And at this release, we're saying, okay, these are going to be a bigger for us this release. The enhanced array support that brought out release 8.6 worked well. It's only available on a limited number of functions, and a big part of this release is to make it available in a wider range of function types, potentially all function types, but certainly things like retrieve objects, to improve the performance of it, and to improve the integration between the new enhanced array support and the rest of the model. So this includes things like wrappering, like the copy model odge, like action diagram searching. One of the things that kind of brought up significantly on the idea wall is the idea of providing sample models, that we bring new functionality and we bring up the documentation for it, but sometimes the easiest way to really get a grip on new functionality, on how it works and how to make most use of it, is we provide a sample model. And for the last release, for some of the web service stuff, actually, then we brought out what we call a scenario document that was put on the support site. A number of customers downloaded and said, this is fantastic. It's a step-by-step guide to how to implement a new feature, and that's I believe, the web service feature. So we're looking at saying, with this release and with other releases after that, we'll actually provide one or more sample models containing the new functionality, and those will link up with some form of scenario document, so that you will be able to, when you download the new release, sample model and go and do a step-by-step process at let's go through, let's follow the steps, let's create this new functionality, let's see it working, give you a much better idea of how it works, and then apply it into your own models and your own applications. We'll look at usability improvements. Those actually already started looking at those. Again, some of these are long-standing things, but looking at refreshing the action diagram so that it is completely up to date with all new, with all the field names and the function call names. Adding confirm prompts, being able to look at locked functions, a lot of kind of minor usability things that customers said, this isn't the highest priority, but it would be nice to have. We said, okay, we're going to put a lot of those in there as well. And we're looking at the platform compatibility for WebOption, making WebOption compatible with a wider variety of browsers than which was originally its only fully compatible browser. So that's effective release 8.7. There's more stuff on 8.7. That's a list of the bigger things we're looking at. And right, what we're planning on beyond that. Everything right-hand box here, these are ideas for what we're looking at doing in future releases. I can't say this particular thing will be in the next release, but our planning for future releases, these are some of the ideas that we're looking at so far. There are no guarantees that we're absolutely going to do them. But making programs available as web services. Right now, you can only have procedures within service programs, but we'd like to make programs available in some form as web services. So TUI, two functions. To consume web services. Obviously, now we can make a web service available, but the ability from TUI to be able to call an external web service is something that all of our customers like. Generating consuming XML, potentially the ability to define database files as XML and pass data back and forth. A better DDS to SQL conversion. As IBM is pushing SQL, so those of you with DDS databases may have looked at XML, but are understandably concerned about the pitfalls that may happen there. And this isn't clear a TUI thing. Many IMI customers are concerned about moving from DDS to SQL, how change, will it affect performance, what happens if I lose data. So we're looking at simplifying that process, and more handling functions to TUI, and then at cloud support. And within WebOption, this look at browsers, platforms, especially mobile devices, iPads, tablets, smartphones, being able to generate skeletons for different kinds of browsers, improving our element customization, and looking at third-party JavaScript libraries and how well we can integrate those with TUI, things like jQuery and Prototype. So that's what we're doing right now, the 2015 8.7, and then ideas for future releases. Those ideas for future releases, they added to, and the place they get added to is by you going to the CA Communities Forum and adding new ideas to the idea wall, saying, I have an idea for a while, I would like to see TUI do a specific thing, and the likelihood that will get added to the list and will certainly come under scrutiny for a new feature. And as idea, the 8.7 there on the left, most of the SQL enhancements were raised by customers. The models idea was raised by customers. The usability improvements are the result of a number of long-standing issues that customers have raised there and the idea wall. So if you use up on the idea wall, they may well get added to subsequent releases. So in general, for TUI, what are we looking at doing? A thing that we have to do is take advantage of the I platform itself. I makes all kinds of changes, as you know, every release in terms of new commands, improvements to the operating system, and changes to mainly the RPG language. And there is always that case with us that we want to take advantage of some of those certain programming enhancements whilst not leaving behind customers, but are now able to take advantage of more of those features with the RPG3, RPG4 language. Again, IBM is pushing SQL. It's a big, big deal, and we're looking at taking advantage of those. A number of the things, the SQL enhancements we're doing now for release 8.7 are as sort of functionality that IBM made available in v5.4 and IBM i 6.1. And then finally, this XML generation and creation is something that we've been talking about in development for a while. Ability to define database within XML to do kind of one model obj or something similar to that, trying the actual data itself from one machine to another, and within the 2E model being able to recreate a 2E file, write the wire retrieve PF model, but XML document. So you can create an empty model, and then populate it with a number of files which come from Excel definitions. Mainly improved browser and platform support. That's been a big part of it, that we've had customers who say, we use Internet Explorer, but we also want to use Firefox, we want to use Chrome, Safari on a Mac. And obviously, the big thing in terms of platform support is mobile. Looking at both tablets and mobile phones. We customers saying we want our people walking around the warehouse to be able to get onto a mobile phone or their tablet, able to get into Web Option and see a skeleton that looks right for a tablet, that has big buttons, that doesn't have all these tiny fiddly input fields. Performance, frankly, Web Option right now has extremely good performance, and as I say, we've made a lot of changes at 8.5 and 8.6 to improve that. It's pretty fast. Doing the HTML generation, or looking at improving the HTML generation, the generation process to make it even more data-driven, so that you, the user, can have complete control about how the end skeletons get generated. As I say, the multiple skeleton templates there is the information for one skeleton for mobile, one skeleton for browser. And then this general JavaScript, people like using the standardized JavaScript libraries. And right now it can be integrated with Web Option, but it's a fit process, and so at the very least we would look to simplify that. Now, release 8.6, that's release which finished last time, was done using Scrum, using Agile. So as I say, what worked was every 4 weeks we would provide to the customers who are involved with it, the customers, with entire new copies of the product with features or sub-features available. Be a webcast where we'd say, this new feature is available, try it out, see what you think. And then we would get feedback each time from customers saying, we tried this new feature, we like it to look slightly different, have a slightly different look and feel. Everything from, can you move text around on a screen, to, can it have this extra functionality? And then those comments were taken back, and as the development went forth over the course of a year or so, the end result was everything we'd originally planned in there, plus some stuff that was added by these customers during the development phase. It was extremely successful. We had a 3-month beta, but really the beta was over before that, because the number of bugs that were found was very, very low, because of course customers were involved all the way through. So with releases, and that includes 8.7, which has just started development now, we're going to continue to use Agile. We've been very happy with it. We were the first big projects even within CA to use it. We've built our experiences of the 8.6. 8.6 worked very well. It had a few glitches, which we've now, I think, overcome. And again, we're looking at head customer collaboration and validation, this input from customers on an ongoing basis throughout the development cycle. And because 8.6 was so successful, we're not planning on having any kind of a beta. So at the end of the development process, because there will have been all this collaboration throughout with customers getting involved, trying the new functionality, we're going GA pretty much immediately. And we've just started release 8.7 now, and we have some customers signed up, but we're absolutely looking for more customers who would be interested in getting involved in that. The requirement that you would actually be involved at certain points throughout this development cycle produces some impact, some input. Onside, obviously, you get to see the new features, and you get to have an actual input on the new features. You might be interested, your company might be interested in getting involved with the 8.7 Agile. I'll do to Bob Pushers. He'll us on a later slide, and you can talk to him about getting added to our development customer database there. I talked a little bit about the value of the customer community. Many of you have been 2E customers for years. You may remember the old Edge forums, various iterations of those forums over time. One that was apparent even back then, sort of 5, 10, 15 years ago, was how active the Plex user communities were. When Sterling bought Sign-On and then when CA bought Sterling, they were pleasantly, I think, shocked at just how active you, the customer base, were at getting involved at both help the customers. One customer raises a question on one of the old forums, other customers instantly get involved, provide examples, provide sample code, help for new developers. We have lots of new developers coming on now, new people out there who are starting to use 2E and who are looking for help. And we have the community forums within CA, which do well. A number of you on this call I know are active on those forums, helping other users. We see more of you. The Plex user community, we have a couple of user group presidents, Anne-Marie Armsig from Webcidian and Christoph Heinrich, you heard earlier, from CM First AG. They are user group presidents, and if you see the community's page there at the bottom, you see contact information from them and also from Mary, who is your first point of contact. We have forums where you can ask questions, provide information. We have the idea wall, as I mentioned earlier. You come up with new ideas for new functions. If you send the paper, you can write that URL down now, or if you can get this presentation later, or you can search for us on the CA website, communities.ca.com. You'll find us there. It's the newest iteration of forums and communities we've had for a long time, and it's working rather well, and we're always looking for new people to get involved. In addition to those forums, as it says, we're having technical webcasts. We're having one about web options sometime in the future. There is, of course, Webcast and the Plex one that happened last week. Directly with product development, that will be us, customers as well, management, and you're the first people to find out about the new enhancements and integrations from us and from other customers who are coming up with ideas. So we still have one of the, I think, customer communities out there, certainly one of the more vocal ones, a community that's very engaged, and we want to see that continue. So if you haven't gone to the CA community, please take time to do so. You can sign up for it, or you can use your existing support login and go and see what's going on. Briefly talked about the product strategy and our roadmap, what we've done, what we are doing, what we're doing in the future. One that I always like to point out these presentations for those customers who are somewhere or another concerned about the long-term future of 2E. I'd always thought, we're working on a new release now. We also, in that box earlier for future releases, we're also to a certain extent waiting down a release after that, the release after that. We have 2 releases more's worth of stuff already that we could say, oh, we could do this in those releases. So we have a lot of work to do, a lot of new improvements, a lot of new enhancements, and we long-term future for 2E. We receive feedback. We have our manager, Paddy Bowman, who is off sick right now. So the 2 people you should talk to right now are Bob, for product management issues, and also, as I say, if you'd like to get involved with the 8.7 Agile program, and you can contact myself directly for any 2E issues and comments. And as I say, the Plex 2E Global User Community, people, if you go there, sign up, take a look at it, ask questions, even answer questions for other people, and provide ideas for what you would like to see in the new releases. And I'd like to hand it over to Q&A. Questions?
This time I'd like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, please press star then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, star then the number 1 to ask a question. For just a moment.
We're waiting for questions. Why don't we just back up one slide so our email addresses stay up on the screen in case people are still trying to write them down. And, soliciting questions right now. We have a group of customers already signed up for our agile development partners here, but I am looking for more. So this is going to sort of be like a year-long beta for 2E. So if you wanted to really be active and try out the betas, there won't be a beta at the end. It's all going to be ongoing throughout the cycle. So if you're interested, please reach out to myself or Rory, and we'll get you the links to where to sign up.
Your question comes from the line of David Miller.
Dave Miller at Cargill, and we dialed into the session today mostly because we were interested in the SQL enhancements that you're talking about. Do you have more detail on which enhancements you're actually on, what the benefits and outcomes are?
I can use some of the enhancements right now, the ones that we've confirmed within within 8.7. There are a couple of them. One, there are, I forget the number. There's order of 10 major enhancements going in there. One is that we will be, and all of these enhancements, bear in mind with SQL, they're all pretty reliant on model values. So, we will give the ability to do X. The backwards compatibility of 2E means obviously you're not going to be forced to do anything. General record format keyword, so that you can use 2E generated files, SQL files within DDS in the same way that you can with a DS file, and also making other related changes to that to use DSs and short names and long names. So you can access the same underlying database file from either an SQL using long names or a program using short names. Optimizing the SQL that's generated, so using things like the optimize for n rows within our subfile functions to improve the performance of a subfile function where there are many matching rows which would match it in the database. SQL record. Look at, I had a look at them up a second ago. Aliases, SQL format, we said SQL optimization. Changing, again, controlled by model value, so optional, changing the way that the SQL is generated into the SQL source file. The SQL actually gets generated so it's compatible with the run SQL statement command, rather than just the SQL. A big thing there is with the SQL that gets generated, we are looking at allowing select emit criteria on indexes, both indexes and views. Right now it's only on views and not on indexes. So a number of the changes that we are actively planning and actively we've locked down for 8.7. Some others that we're looking at for future, including, as I say, in general, a simplified means of moving from DDS to SQL overall.
So what specific things to see personally would be the reference field that was by field instead of by record format or whatever, so that we could actually create or modify in the table without having to recompile the world. If the person's referencing on a field by field basis, we do that.
Select field, and field, and rather than select star.
Correct. Have you addressed that at all?
we said that realistically it's unlikely to be included in 8.7. The changes required would require changes throughout a lot of generator programs. It's not as simple as saying from a model point of view, the number of changes required would be pretty extensive. I know that there are a number of customers who've effectively used user source or pre-post compile a source to effectively do the same thing. It certainly looked at it, and it's certainly up there. I think it's up on the idea wall for somebody who's raised it already. If it isn't, you should raise it, and I would suspect you would get a lot of buy-in from other users.
It is out there on the wall, or on the forums. I know it's got a few votes, including mine. Right.
We'd like to see that. Obviously, that kind of backwards compatibility issue is something that customers would like to see. At this point, one of the reasons we chose it is the issue it's going to have with changing a lot of stuff in the model. So, as with all the features, we picked the ones that seem to have the most votes, and we're going to have the biggest bang for the buck. That said, if other customers now like this idea and go onto the idea wall and raise it up, then that will certainly raise it up the priority list to say, you know, should be added in the next release, should we add it as PTF or as a service pack, or how do we do it? That's the brief one. It's not in 8.7 now, but if customers saying we want it, then we could certainly consider it, if not for 8.7, as some shortly post after 8.7, post 8.7 service pack or whatever.
Okay.
I'll just see. I'll just answer a couple of questions that people have raised. Steve Redbourne says, what iOS level is the minimum expected of 8.7 and 8.8? For 8.7, we're looking at 6.1. For 8.8, and we don't even know if 8.8 is going to be called 8.8, but I don't know what the minimum OS level will be beyond 8.7. Depending on how long it takes development cycle for that, it remains 6.1. It could go up to a higher release. What that we support is the number of customers who are using it. So we want to keep our customers happy. 6.1 has a big take-up amongst IBMI customers, certainly according to IBM, and also amongst 2E customers. So we feel comfortable moving up to 6.1, 8.7. Beyond that, we obviously have our policy of always supporting at least one or two releases behind the current highest release that IBM supports. So beyond that, probably 6.1 or 7.1, but this is what IBM is going to call subsequent releases. And then Maynard Batista asked, with migration to SQL, will we also see migration to embedded SQL and generated source? No, we will see some embedded SQL migration, and obviously you can have, if you generate using dbfgen SQL, then you'll get embedded SQL right now in 2E. Will change and will get better in future, in 8.7 and future. As I said, a number of these new functions that we're seeing now, new enhancements for SQL in 8.7, will result in slightly changed embedded SQL. But do embedded SQL for DBN SQL, so that will continue and potentially improve. I hope this may answer question. Do any more questions?
And if you would like to ask a question, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. No additional questions at this time.
Well, with that, I would like to thank all of you for getting involved and for coming along to the cast and listening to me talk for a while. The poll that's open your screen now on the right-hand side. We can rate the value of today's webcast topic. Say, if you have any input both about this webcast and about 2E, then keep pressing this. Contact Bob Crushus for product management issues. Contact myself or obviously support for 2Es and comments. And please join or get actively involved in the global user community. It's also the best place to find information about the conference in November, which should all come to. Also, you can go to the website specifically for the conference and find out information there about whether you want to conference and the benefits it's going to provide. Like I say, if you have something interesting that you feel you know about 2E that others will benefit from, please put it forward as an example of a presentation, and you may get accepted and you'll get a chance to come to the conference and present to your peers. With that, I'll pass it back to Mary, or
If there's no other questions, then we'll close it out.
thanks for coming.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you. This concludes today's conference. You may now disconnect.